As Europe struggled out of the Dark Ages which followed the sacking of Rome by the barbarians in 400 AD, it looked east to rekindle its taste for exotic goods. Europe's attempt to gain control of the terrestrial eastern trade routes had failed, and so in an effort to gain safe, fast access to cargo, they looked to the sea, and Europe entered its age of exploration. The endeavours of seaborne trade came with risk and at a price, but European history and the expansion of their world was written by those that returned home. Today, hundreds of years later, Wreckseekers hunt for the histories of those that didn't. Somewhere under the crashing surf on the reef behind me lies the remains of the Portuguese ship Santiago, which was lost here in 1585. The ship was travelling from Portugal to Goa on the Malabar coast of India when the pilot made a grave error as to their position and ran his ship straight aground.
We came up with the story of the Santiago that was wrecked between Madagascar and Mozambique. The one was 1585, the Portuguese wrecked the Santiago. She had 60,000 coins on it, so that was a really tempting target. Our dream was always to search for a treasure somewhere in a far place which hadn't been found or dived on before.
Just over 400 people were on board when the ship was wrecked. The captain took his officers and a small complement of crew on the small boats from the ship and set off in search of help, promising to come back to rescue the remaining survivors. Some of them swam after the boats, and 2 to 3 hours later, despite their pleas, the captain and the officers refused to let them on board and refused to pluck them from the sea. Even the people rowing the boats begged the officers to help their shipmates, but they refused, and eventually they slipped beneath the waves and drowned.
Well, the trip there was actually very exciting, but we hit quite a bad storm and we lost one of the small tender vessels. We were towing a lifeboat and I had to jump over in storm seas to stop that sinking. When we eventually arrived at Bassus, it was very, very exciting. There was just this vast volcanic lip, and started our search 500 meters away from the Santiago and went in an anti-clockwise direction. So we literally found it 6 weeks later after finding 11 other ships.
We've managed to come ashore. The sea's flattened out a bit and it's low tide. We're exploring the reef and within 10 minutes we found 6 anchors and 8 cannons. To the south of us is the wreck of the Sussex, mid-1700s. To the north, testament to the fact that this atoll still claims ships. 2 large steel shipwrecks wrecked within 2 kilometers of where we are now.
But in the evenings, in the quiet times, you'd sit back and think of these 300 odd souls that were just left there.
Following the opening of the sea route to the east and the establishment of the refreshment station at the Cape by the Dutch, the South African coast became one of the most strategic places on the planet. Whoever controlled the coast controlled access to the vast trade markets and unimaginable riches of the east. As the world's maritime powers jostled for position, global politics played itself out here at the Cape of Storms. With almost 3,000 historical shipwrecks representing 38 nationalities, the coast of South Africa still has many stories left to tell. Wreckseekers follows in the footsteps of explorers, traders, fortune seekers, archaeologists, historians, researchers and treasure hunters to uncover those stories and to discover the secret history of shipwrecks.